everyone, Buddy Buck here. Welcome back to the channel. Glad you're here. And in the spirit of our conversation today, I've got a couple of tools here. So we've got our hammer, we've got our tape measure, and in any business, specifically in real estate, having the right tools is super important. But it's really what you're doing with those tools. See, because it's not about doing more work, it's about becoming more, right? So don't just do more, become more, because pouring yourself into training, personal development, and understanding your market and how to do an amazing market update, which we'll reference in the description below to reference back to the first part of the series, 1 of 3. This will be 2 of 3, and this is the contractor edition. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our trainer for today. This guy is a teacher, a coach, a mentor. He's built successful businesses literally all around the country. Now I'm honored to call him friend. He's actually the regional director of growth for all of EXP USA. And without further ado, let's kick it over to Mr. Russ Laggan.
All right. Thank you, buddy. I do appreciate that. Thanks for having me back. You never know after you do the first session whether you're going to get invited back for the second session. So apparently we said something crazy.
Yeah, let's do it, man. We're going to do a third one here soon. So let's rock and roll.
Right. Good. So you already gave us a quick preview. So if you haven't seen chapter one is about doing a really good real estate market update. And there's a whole video on exactly how to do that. And then there's some collateral stuff that goes along with it to help you in the process of being able to develop a good real estate market update. So once you've got a good real estate market update going, that is like the core that you can build a ton of your business off of. It's kind of funny, buddy, because we got a lot of people who are like, well, Russ, I don't want to chase people. Well, then don't. Right? You want to attract people. And the way you attract people is by having the conversation about things that they want to talk about. People are asking all the time, how's the market? Perfect, right? So that's one part in a 3-prong effort to be able to build credibility, have people come to you and do things that, number one, people notice, and number two, they actually care about, right? I cannot tell you how many times I see people doing real estate stuff online and see people doing real estate stuff on social, and you'll see like 3 likes. You're like, they got 3,000 friends in Facebook, only 3 people liked it. If you take away their mom and their sister, there's only 1 person left. And that person probably accidentally hit it, right? So we got to start thinking like, what can we start doing that makes people say, yeah, that was interesting, or yeah, that was worth liking, or yeah, that was worth engaging. Of course, it's just like people just driving by, you want them to stop and look around a little bit, because we know if we're going to convert into a sale process, we've got to have something that makes them stick. We've got to have something that makes them think about you. Okay, so market update is part of that. We want you to look like an expert, talk like an expert, just give information like an expert, and people are more likely to treat you like an expert and pay you like an expert even better, right? So the second part of this conversation is interesting, buddy. I've had this conversation a bunch of times with real estate agents, and I'm like, all right, so what do we sell? And people come up with all kinds of great stuff, right? Oh, we sell the dream. Like, yeah, good luck with that, right? Let's put a sticker on the dream for the sale price. Well, we're selling houses, right? So in the process of selling houses, the second part of this process of developing a good, solid real estate business is to build out a contract, C-O-N-T-R-A-C-T-O-R, talking and spelling at the same time, not my forte. Hence, I'm in real estate. Thank God I don't have to do math either. So building a contractor list. And you might be like, well, Russ, but like, the contractors know 100 other realtors. I agree 100%. So 2 things that are super important. Number one, remember, you got a real estate market update. Okay, that's your first thing. You're going to be sending that out to everybody. The second thing you're going to start to thinking is every single person that you're dealing with in the housing world, whether it's somebody you're going to buy a house with, help buy a house with, future going to buy a house with, lives in a current house, whether it's theirs or somebody else's, and or somebody you've already sold a house to, they're going to have something on their house break. And often, right? Like if you leave a house by itself, it's like putting a 3-year-old in a glass factory. They're going to destroy stuff by the time the day is out, right? So a house is a self-destroying mechanism. It's constantly in a state of flux. It's constantly breathing and moving and changing. In that process of breathing, moving, and changing, the house, things break, right? So in the last 3 months, just at my house, I've had a drywall guy, I've had a paint guy, I've had an electrician, and a plumber. Like 4 main people in the house. This was just maintenance stuff, right? Had this one outlet was doing something weird. So like, better get an electrician over here. And the electrician's like, well, I gotta just pull a new wire because something's not right with that. So let's disconnect it. Now I need a drywall guy. Of course, then I got a drywall guy, messed up my fixed up my drywall. And the next thing you know, I got to get that painted because I've got a neck issue that I've been fighting with. So I actually pay a painter finally. Thank God I've got enough money to pay a painter finally, because I hate painting. Okay. So in the process of that, it's like one little simple thing. I've got 4 contractors who get engaged in one thing, right? So what's the problem? Well, the problem is, like, I didn't know a good drywaller. So like, now what do you do, right? So in the process of going through this, I reached out to a buddy of mine. I was like, hey man, who do you know that's a good drywaller? And he's like, Jake. Like, Jake who? He's like, Jake Rodebach. I'm like, the kid we went to church with in school? Yeah, he took over his dad's drywall business. I'm like, seriously? Little Jake grew up, right? Jake's now 49, by the way. He's not a little kid. 30 years later, I'm like, Jake Rodebach comes over to my house and he helps me with the drywall. And then he's got his guy James with him. And James is like, hey, I could paint that if you want. I'm like, dude, I got a drywaller and a painter in one, right? The sheer convenience of having somebody I can reach out to say, hey, who do you know? I mean, for me, it was a value. I'm asking this question, and I have my own contractor list. Here's the fun part. I've got my contractor list started out, and I was like, all right, so let's build a contractor list, okay? 2 reasons for building a contractor list. Number 1, we want to be a resource. Okay, we want to be a resource to everybody that's in our sphere of influence that we're sending the real estate market update to. Because anybody I send a real estate market update to, I use this verbiage with them also. Hey, by the way, since you get my real estate market update, if you ever have anything go wrong with your house, don't hesitate to reach out to me, because I know if something breaks on your house, which is going to happen in the near future, I've got a list of people that are reliable, trustworthy, show up on time, communicate well, and they're fair priced. And people go, oh, that's awesome. And then I've had other people say to me, buddy, well, Ross, you can go on that Nextdoor app and you can go on the Angie's List thing and you can do this and you can do that. And I'm like, yeah, so what do? You tell them, like, go on Angie's List and go find a good contractor that's reputable. They're not calling you then, they're calling Angie's List, right? I want you to position yourself as a resource for anything and everything homes, right? I'm not just a realtor that helps people buy and sell houses. I'm a real estate agent and expert that helps you with any aspect of the house. By the way, home repairs are a big aspect of that house, right? So think about it like this. Buddy, have you ever had anybody say, you know what, I love calling people and chasing business?
Never.
Never, right? So when I say this, like, would you like it if people called you when it was time to do something, buying or selling with their house? Yes. Well, first things first is this stuff is going to happen every single year with every single person that has a house in your sphere of influence. Think about it. There is going to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 or 7 things that happen throughout the year that they potentially need a contractor for. How often are they buying or selling a house? Every 7 years, right? So instead of saying in this, they're going to move every 7 years, on this one, they're needing a contractor 7 times a year. So it's not 7 times the more chance for contact. It's more like 49 times more the chance for contact, because it's 7 years times 7 contacts a year, right? So you got to start thinking in multiplication instead of thinking about addition. People are saying, well, but if I add this, I'm like, think in multiplication, right? Instead of making a reach out once every 7 years, you give them the opportunity to reach out 7 times in a year. Okay. So as I'm positioning this, and in my real estate market update, once in a while, I will say, hey, by the way, just in case you don't remember, I have a preferred contractor list of contractors that we've already vetted. We know they've done a good job. They're fair price. They show up on time and they communicate well. So if you ever need somebody, don't hesitate to let me know. The list is constantly changing. So reach out to me and I'll help connect you. You know you're doing a good job and this is working well when you post something on somebody posts something on Facebook. Buddy posts on Facebook, hey, I'm looking for an electrician in Puyallup, right? And then 3 people are like, ask Russ, he knows everybody. That's when you know you got it, right? So when you're looking at from a social media standpoint, you say, okay, Russ, well, that's good. Now I've got something to connect with people on Facebook, so, or on social media, on Instagram or even TikTok or whatever. So I will grab a contractor, the guy that did my floor, and then I do a quick video with my contractor that goes like this. Hey, I'm Russ Laggan, real estate dude, Detroit, Michigan. We just had the floor dude come in and do our floor, and floor dude did a great job. Not only did he do a good job, he did it for a fair price, and they did a really great job of cleaning up. Aside from one little stain in the breezeway my wife was pointing out to me, which could happen to anybody. Aside from that, these guys freaking nailed it. So if you need a garage floor done or a basement floor done, seal it off so you don't have mold and make it pretty. This is your guy. Call floor guy, right? And then I panned over to the back of his van as a floor guy. This guy's number on, right? That right there alone gave me something to talk about, gave me the opportunity to prop somebody else's business. See, if I call people up and I say, hey, I just want to tell you how great I am as a real estate agent, they're going to run from me. They're going to think I'm an ass, right? But if I get up in front of them and say, hey, this guy did a good job, and I'm promoting other people's businesses, it makes me look good by promoting other people's business. So think about it like this: give first, and then you'll get. A lot of people are like, but Russ, I really need to get right now. You should have started giving 6 months ago then. Start giving first, then you're going to get, right? So always say, how can I give back? How can I make somebody else look good? How can I promote other people? Zig Ziglar said many, many times, you guys have heard this quote a million times, help enough people get what they want and you'll get what you want. I always say, hey, I want you guys to knock it out of the park. I want to knock it out of the park too. You first, let me help you. Buddy, that's why I'm here, right? Helping you knock it out of the park. And when you guys knock it out of the park, I'll get mine. I'm good, right? But success breeds more success. So let's look at this contractor list real quick. People would say, okay, Russ, we'll build a contractor list. Well, here's a simple method to do it. Number one, I've got a white paper on this, buddy, which I will send to you. I believe you've got that. And you can actually take that and use that. So there's a couple things in there that are interesting. Number one, super interesting part. I don't need just one plumber, right? So if I have plumbers, I got to start thinking. I got to start thinking big. Okay, is it good to have one plumber? Yes, but let's think in multiplier here. The list that I gave you, buddy, that you're going to be able to put with people so that people can grab onto this. I put together a list of 60 different things, people that touch houses. 60. Okay, so here's the fun part about the multiplier. Multiplier goes like this. I've got a plumber. Good. Is there a difference between a high-end plumber and a low-end plumber? Is there a difference between a high-end plumber and a fix and flip plumber? Yeah. So the high-end plumber is going to know about that 10 shower head, multi-control panel, shower attachment. The fix and flippers guy is going to be like, oh, you want the fancy Delta one? That's the fanciest thing he knows is Home Depot has Delta, and that's their fancy faucet, right? He doesn't even want to get into the Italian stuff. He doesn't speak Italian, okay? So not that either one is better than the other, but I don't want to send my fix and flipper guy to $1 million house, and I certainly don't want to send my $1 million guy to the fix and flipper house. The $1 million guy at the fix and flipper house is going to freak him out over the price, and the fix and flipper guy is going to freak him out over the other stuff. Okay, so we want to make sure we get the right stuff. So now instead of having a list of just 60, we've got a list of 120 because I need 2 of each, right? 2 plumbers, 2 electricians, 2 painters, 2 floor guys, 2 wall guys, 2 tile guys, the list goes on, right? Now here's the real fun part. I don't think in a linear manner typically. So I'm like, okay, well, that's good. Russ, that's brilliant. I didn't think of that. Well, let's check this one out, right? Is my good plumber good? Yeah. So is he busy? Is he always available? No. And they're like, well, he's never available. So I've got a backup guy because I know my good guy is going to be busy because he's good. And I've got a backup guy. So if my one good guy is busy, my other good guy might be open and vice versa. So there's a really good chance that one of the two will be open within the next 2 or 3 weeks if something's going on. Okay. So now instead of having 120 people on the list, I've got my high end, my low end, and I've got a backup for each. Now my list turns into 240 people. This is 240 different contractors that are in your list. Now, buddy, here's the fun part. We talked about the real estate market update. And in one of the sessions we talked about being able to convert your sphere of influence. Every single one of these people you're adding as a contractor goes into your sphere of influence. So when I talk to an agent that says, well, Russ, I want to do 20 sales, but I only have 50 people in my sphere. Well, number one, my response would be, you need to get out more. Right? You're in sales. You should get out more, right? Go do more fun stuff and you should know more than 50 people, right? So with that said, you can add 240 people into your sphere of influence. Here's a dirty little secret, buddy. Some of these contractors live in houses. Whoa, right? Some of these contractors are going to buy and sell a house. Here's the other dirty little secret, okay? Some of these contractors are going into a house to fix the plumbing because the person's getting ready to sell their house. Barbara's getting ready to sell her house. And she calls the plumber. It's like, hey, Chris, I need to get this plumbing fixed up. I'll get this little thing. I want to get it all cleaned up before we put the house on the market. So is there a chance that contractors could refer business to you? Absolutely. So that's one. Okay. And then secondly, there's a chance that the contractor themselves has to buy or sell a house. Okay. Now I know working our typical sphere, having a real good real estate market update. Part two, having a great contractor list that you manage, keeping you engaged on a weekly basis. And then the third one, which we're going to talk about, I don't know, I think we're going to schedule that for next week, right? Or something like that. We're going to talk about the recipe for social media that goes in conjunction with this, for social posts to be able to drive credibility. I know if I do these three recipes consistently, I can get my sphere of influence to convert at around 10%. Okay, 10%. So when I'm working with normal people, not contractor list, normal people, buyers, sellers, people I've worked at, bumped into at church, people I've golfed with, people I've gone rollerblading with, people I was in my run club, they were in my bike club, they were in my swim club, all of those different things that I do, all of them are getting my market update. In addition to that, I can add these guys. Now, the contractor list does not convert at 10%. You're like, well, Russ, well, then why do it? Okay. Well, typically you can get this to convert in the 3 to 5% range. Couple reasons. Number one, contractor knows a bunch of agents. Number two, contractors are very self-sufficient. Number three, a lot of contractors have licenses, real estate licenses. They're flipping houses themselves sometimes. So these lists, when we track them, it closes at more like 3 to 5%. Let's just say 5 on the reasonable side. That puts us at around 12 sales, either with them or by referral from them. 12 from having 240 people. Okay, so how many of you would just like 12 more sales? Who cares if it's a crappier conversion than 10%, even if it only converts at 5? Let's say, I call this, I'm going to say this out loud. Sometimes I regret it. If you're not getting at 10%, you're at 5%, you're half-assing this. You're half-assing it because you're 5%, right? If you only convert at 2.5%, you're quarter-assing it. That's my new term, quarter-assing, right? So even if you quarter-ass this, you're still adding 6 sales. How many of you guys would say, I don't know, Russ, 6 sales would be a game changer for me? Average sales price in the market, $300,000. It's almost $9,000 the gross times 6 sales. That's 48,000. You want to add 50 grand to your bottom line? Start doing this and quarter-ass it. Okay. And that will add sales to your business. So it's a matter of having multiple things going multiple directions and driving business to you. Okay. So now here's the fun part with this too. Okay. All you're going to do in this process of adding the contractor list, this gives you a reason to go on your favorite social, whatever that is. And you're going to have, and this is in the recipe in the white paper, buddy, is you're going to post, it's like, I'm looking for a plumber. Okay. And be specific where you're looking for them. I'm west of Detroit. Right. So for me, I'd say Plymouth, Canton, Northville, Novi area. Okay. I'm looking for that specific area. Who do you know that's good, shows up, communicates well, and is a fair price? Okay. Get real specific on the Facebook post. And the reason, or the social post, the reason you want to do that is because I don't want them to just send me anybody, right? I want them to send me somebody they've done business with recently that they recommend. Here's the cool part. Some of these people are going to be in your sphere of influence. They're like, hey, you know, my husband does that. Perfect. So now you've got a reason to connect to your people in your sphere of influence. I know if I'm connecting to somebody in my sphere of influence, I'm sending business to Chris on a regular basis for plumbing, which is a true name, by the way. Chris King, Google him, north of Tampa. Great guy, works for Red Hat Plumbing. Fantastic guy. Okay. I've referred so much business to that guy. When it's time for them to do a house sale, boom, they're going to do business with us, right? So with that being said, within my sphere, I've got people I can connect with. Now, if I'm connecting people in my sphere that are contractors and they do a good job, I'm kind of double dipping already, right? They're getting my market update. I've got them in my contractor list. We push business back and forth. Now we've got a business that actually helps self-sustain itself. I'm helping them. They're helping me. They're helping me. I'm helping them. One hand washes the other. Brilliant, right? Outside of that, what's going to happen is you're going to have people in Facebook that you don't know real well that are going to say, hey, my buddy Steve does blah, blah, blah. Perfect. That's fantastic. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to give Steve a quick call, just touch base with him, say, Steve, here's what I expect. I refer business to blah, blah, blah. I expect you to show up on time, communicate well. Can you do that? And sometimes here's what happens. I call them and what happens, buddy? They don't call back. I leave them a voicemail. They don't call back. The next day, leave them a voicemail. They don't call back. Leave them a voicemail. Text them. They don't text back. If they're doing that to me, they're going to do that to my people. The last thing I want to do is say, buddy, my plumber's awesome. And then my plumber doesn't call back. He's like, hey, your plumber never called me back. Ugh. And a lot of agents will say, well, Russ, that's what I'm scared. If I refer people and they suck, then it'll make me look bad. Well, if you vet these people, you're going to have less of that. You're still going to have some of it, but you're going to get a lot better people if you vet them, right? If they don't call me back, they're not calling anybody else back. And then they call me back a week later and say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. I found somebody else that communicates a little better. No big deal. Wish you all the best. No worries, right? But it takes a week to respond to me. No, out, right? So you're building a contractor list. You're getting very effective with that. Here's the cool part also. Contractor guy. Hey, by the way, contractor guy. Everybody's always asking me, how's the market? I'm going to put you on my list. So I'm going to send you my real estate market update so you know what's going on in the market. So when you're doing something on somebody's house, they're like, oh, we're getting ready to sell the house because of blah, blah, blah. And you can say, hey, I got a market update. My buddy Russ sends to me every month. Well, I'll send that over to you too, and I'll connect you with him. He's a really good dude, and he tells you what's going on. This guy's an expert, awesome guy to do business with. Now my contractors know how to refer me business. I've got 240 of them out there working on my behalf. So number one, you've got real estate market update. You've got to have that going. So if you haven't seen that, get that, right? Run that, get that started. Then secondly, start on your contractor list. Do this intentionally, buddy. Intentionally, okay? So I'm going to say, I've got 60 different contractors that I need. Different. I'm going to go for trying to get one of each. Here's the fun part in the process saying, hey, I need a plumber. You're going to get 5. Right? You're going to get 5, right? Are you high end, low end? What do you prefer to do? Boom, 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 boom. So even just doing one post, I get 5, 6, 7 plumbers referred to me. I can take 2, 3, 4 of them and add them to my list. So one post, I get 2, 3, 4. And every single one of those people that responds to my post, I'm going to say, hey, by the way, do you get my market update? I do a market update. What's going on in the real estate business? Market's changing. If you want to see it, I'll shoot it over to you. And they're like, yes, please. Cool. Let me have your info. Boom. Now I just added another person to my sphere. I can convert them at closer to 10. Okay, so in the process of building contractor list, I'm going to do it intentionally. I'm going to try to add 2 contractors per week, every week, until I have my list built out and I've got a good, robust list. Okay, you can do that in a couple of hours. Just block out 2 hours Monday, do the post, and then do the follow-ups Tuesday. Block out an hour for follow-ups on Tuesday, an hour for follow-ups on Wednesday, an hour for follow-ups on Thursday. So with a 4-hour block, 4-hour time blocking, you can add 240 people to your sphere. Even if you convert only 6 sales, it's another 50 grand a year. Okay. In the process, you're also going to get some people that you can add to your market update. Boom. And you're also going to have some stuff you can do with social we'll talk about later. So here's the most amazing part of the whole thing. It's not hard work, guys. It's easy. It comes to you. And by the way, since I am an EXP guy, one of the advantages of EXP, and I'm not going to sell the heck out of this, is, by the way, when I ask for contractors, a lot of times realtors, people I've done business with in the past, they're going to give me their people. And I will say to them, hey, by the way, I do a market update. Would you like me to send you my market update? And if you get anybody you ever need, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Now I have real estate agents reaching out to me saying, hey, Russ, who's your contractor for blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's nice talking to you, Lindsay. I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Great. Oh, yeah. How was your birthday? Fantastic. Perfect. I'm glad you get my market update. Good to see you again. And by the way, I got a new great plumber. He was at my house yesterday. It was fantastic. If you want his name and number, I'll give him to you. Now I've got a reason to communicate and connect with other realtors I've done business with. For those of you that aren't trying to attract real estate agents, there's a huge benefit for that too for you, because if you know a bunch of real estate agents in your market and they do good business and you do good business, the next time you see them on a transaction, it's 2 buddies making stuff happen. Way more fun to do business with people you built a relationship with. Way more fun to do business with people that you've added value to. They'll add value back to you. You get a completely different reaction when you see people out in the market. So whether you're attracting or not, it's a good thing to build relationships in the market. So there you go, contractor list, a bunch of things, a bunch of different directions. Buddy, that's all I got on contractors list today.
Thank you so much, Russ. And if you want that, what Russ referred to as the white paper, we have a Team Ren Google Doc with that list. So just drop the word contractor below in the comments and we'll make sure you get a copy of that. So thanks again, Russ. Appreciate you so much, man. And can't wait for part 3 in the series. 3 of 3 coming soon.